What's up, guys? So we just got our whole color matching system installed today. So we wanted to do something a little bit different, and I'm hoping to kind of incorporate more videos like this on the channel for you guys. One resource that I feel like isn't readily available on YouTube very much is information on color matching. And I think that a lot of times it gets overlooked. People are just too prone to just say, oh, I got a color code, I'm gonna just go get the paint matched and just shoot this bumper for my car. And they don't realize that it's 10 shades off, and then they paint it and it looks terrible. And so what I want to do is provide you guys a resource to kind of see what goes into color matching, maybe kind of change your perspective on how you look at matching paint and kind of the process of how you go through and do it. So today what we have is a gas door off of a 2014 Subaru WRX. This is a black silica pearl. The code is CB4, and it's hard to see because inside it looks kind of just like straight black, but it's actually got like a pretty crazy, like, you know, star flaky type pearl on there. And we're gonna be painting just this little hood scoop that's got some sun fade for the guy. And so I told him, you know, bring the gas door for us to do the color match on, and we'll shoot the piece for him off the car so he didn't have to leave his car here. So the first thing that we're gonna do on the panel that we're, you know, gonna be pulling the chips on and checking up against and doing our spray outs is we gotta polish it up. We gotta make sure that there's not a bunch of scratches or like contamination on the surface. So I'm just gonna hit it real quick with just a single step polishing compound just to get some of the worst scratches and then also any dirt or anything that's embedded in the surface off of it. I can't stress how important this is, especially on lighter colors like whites or yellows, because your paint can get like a lot of dirt trapped in the surface and stuff, and that can change the tint of the color. And then when you go to match it, if you match it to the dirty paint and then later on you polish up and wax your car, the part you painted is going to look totally wrong. So we have the system here, obviously, to do it. You might be doing this at your paint store, you know, local paint store or whatever. You're gonna need the code, and that's kind of like your starting point, right? So on this one, it's CB4. And you can see right here, 2010 to 2022 Subaru WRX. And these are all the variants for that color. So these are all formulas that in this paint system they've came up with that match different, how should I say it? Sometimes at the factory the cars can get painted at different times, under different conditions. The mix for the paint might have been slightly different one day, or it might have gotten painted at a different factory, which means there can be variants even in brand new cars, right? And especially in older cars, it could have been repainted and stuff like that, or the sun can actually burn the pigments out of the paint without affecting the clear coat. So you can see color differences on cars that don't even look sun faded, right? So these are the variants that someone came up with for this particular code. And we can see here that we've got 3 chips that we can pull to take a look at this. So what I'm going to do right now is go ahead and get those chips and see if any of them are a good match straight off the chip. And if they are, then we know that we're good to go. We can just mix it up, done. And this one's ready. But if none of them are close, then we have to start trying some other things. .9184 9184A. Okay, well, I lied. There's just one chip, and it's the standard. I'm already seeing some issues. Let's take it outside. So what we're seeing here is that the chip is yellower than the panel, right? You can see how the chip itself is kind of like a muddy, kind of ugly brown black, but the panels are really clean, crisp, kind of ink black, and also it has the wrong metallic, right? This looks almost like kind of goldish metallic that they have in the chip. So what I'm gonna do real quick is kind of fan through the book, see if I can find a chip that looks good, and if not, then we're gonna have to start delving into doing a match on our own. The qualities I'm liking out of this chip versus the one that we had was that this is matching the tone of the black a lot better. It's still a little too dirty. The metallic is still totally wrong though too. So let's go see what we got. So I think the first thing we'll do is take a look at this standard formula because we have an idea of what that looks like. And we'll compare that to the formula for the other chip that we like a tiny bit better, and we'll see what their balance of blacks is that they're using. And then we got to figure out a way to replicate that metallic that's on there a little bit better. So we do have a bluer variant. So let's look at that formula. It's the 9206. So in here, this is showing us our formulas for each color. Each column here signifies a different variant. The active one right here is standard. And then the bluer variant that I wanted to compare to is this 902 or 920612, right? So I'm gonna look at which toners go in this one versus this one. So we have a 200 black is the higher quantity, 210, it's a little bit of green, and the 510 green is probably a yellow. It's definitely a brighter green, which could be giving it that muddy, like yellow hue that we're seeing. But I have a feeling that that's coming from either the 210 or the 200, whichever is the yellower of the black. And then we've got a white mica and the balancing clear. And this one, magenta. Oh, all that they did here was just add blue. The balance of these two blacks is similar. Still a little bit of green in there. That white mica. And then yeah, they're adding this 420 toner, which is blue, to try to darken it up. And yeah, that's way too deep. Looking at this closer, I don't absolutely hate the metallic in the standard chip. I think it's just the fact that the chip is so green and yellow and muddy that's making it kind of look incorrect. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mix standard. I'm gonna use a smaller quantity of the 200 black, which is the yellower black. I'm gonna use the amount from this formula that we like a little bit better, which is the 75 grams. And instead of this 210 tinting black, I'm going to use the 230, which is a deeper, bluer black. And that should hopefully bring us around to the shade of black we need. And then I can just pinch in this green as we go along to try to get the tone correct to look like the gas door. That does not look right. Still have that yellow really coming through. See it? It's like a stain on there. So let's look at this formula for this chip, the darker one. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put a small quantity of just a really strong black in there to try to just get the hue a little bit richer and less muddy. See, that metallic looks so wrong. This is just some blue to try to counter out that nasty yellow. So that's just the toner that I put on there, but this right here is the sample of the color that we have on there. And it's looking decent, but I definitely want to make a few more adjustments and then go check it out, actually spraying it out on a card. But it's definitely looking a lot closer now. So what we'll do is spray it out. I'll dab some on here to get a little bit better idea of where we're at. Let that dry up, go check it in the sun. Same process. And then after that, we'll actually do a spray out card once we know that we're in the ballpark. Nice. So pretty much what I wound up doing was completely making a custom color because the formula and the tinting toners it was calling for didn't really work out for this specific black. The 200 black that it was calling for, that main toner, just was too muddy to match like the richness of that panel. So what I wound up having to do was use the 230, which is a darker, deeper tinting black. And I based the formula just straight off that and then added a higher percentage of the white mica to get a little bit more of that like dancey, star flaky pearl effect. And then I added a bunch of flop additive in there, which essentially just kind of broke up the metallics a little bit and then also kind of milked the color just slightly, gave it that kind of hazy side cast like how the panel has it. You might not be able to tell in the, you know, the photos or whatever, but it needed to have that kind of milkiness as well. And I think we pinched a little bit of blue in there too. So essentially I wound up completely remaking it because none of the chips I had were close and the formula and the mix wasn't close either. So sometimes you just have to kind of wing it, and with a color like this, it's easy, right? Because it's black. So I was able to just use like 4 toners to get what I needed to get. But if this was like, you know, a silver or like a gray or something that has a lot of different pearls and stuff in there, making your own color can sometimes be a little bit too difficult.